Hi, this is AJ Macdonald with Macdonald Financial Services. I have Devin Jones here, and today we're going to talk to you about how geopolitical events can impact your investments and your portfolio.
Yeah, they can definitely do some damage in the short term, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think that's part of what we'll talk about is short-term events versus long-term events.
Exactly. Now, back when you and I got started in this business, for those of you that are watching that may be Gen Zs or
Seems like yesterday.
they didn't have the internet when we got into this business. That's true. So the only way you get news was the evening news, newspapers. That was about it. Telegraph for you.
Yeah, Telegraph. I mean, that was very, very popular in my when I was
Pony
going to
Express.
high school. Yeah, when I was going to high school. Pigeon carrier.
Whereas today, things are instantaneous around the world. So I like to say, gosh, if some German economist sneezes, it could have an effect on us here in the U.S. But back in the day, before the internet, we didn't get our news as quickly.
Right. Yeah, things move very, 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 very rapidly now, and like I say, so in the short term, certainly geopolitical events can cause disruption in the markets and in market cycles, but typically those are fairly short-lived. I mean, you can go back, there's tons and tons of events that we've seen over the last 100 years that we've seen a lot of movement in the short term, but in the long term, it's just more of one of those, at least where we sit, more of a buy and hold strategy, let those things work their way out, and then we just kind of go about our business. But it doesn't hurt any the less in the short term, for sure.
That's right. And the two things that we like to say that move the markets, greed and fear. And so particularly in the short run, a lot of emotion. So depending on geopolitical events, we had President Trump meet with Putin in Alaska. That was a big event. Of course, we've had Trump. A lot of things Trump has done.
Yeah, there's been a few here recently.
Yeah, with President Zelensky from Ukraine, that was a big deal. We've had a lot of those types of things besides Netanyahu in Israel. All those things cause the markets to move typically downward in the short runs because it enacts that fear emotion. But ultimately, as Devin and I believe, is that the fundamentals of companies will dictate how their stock performs. And so short term, we have a lot of people get ready to push the panic button when some big event happens, somebody says something or does something, talking about political leaders. And as Devin already mentioned, we tend to let those pass before we make any big changes. Yeah. We don't react to those types of things.
Yeah, let them die down a little bit.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It's really about the fundamentals of the economy and the markets.
Yeah.
And individual companies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add?
No, I think we covered it pretty well there.
All right. Thanks for watching. Look forward to some of our other videos, and we'll talk to you soon.